Started, okay.
Hi, welcome back to Cambridge Inside Out. I'm Judy Nathans.
And I'm still Robert Winters.
Yeah.
And one of the, just sort of talking about things that we've been up to.
Right. I'm trying to do many more civic things now that I do the show with you.
Oh, it's actually been great, actually.
Yeah, no, there's so much.
Yeah. So one of the things we both went to this past Thursday.
Yes.
Was a presentation by the newly reconstituted Cambridge Civic Unity Committee.
Okay.
Now, the Civic Unity Committee actually dates back to like post-World War II. I think it was after there was some, it was sort of an effort to kind of knit together the social fabric of the city, largely based along racial lines, to be sure. But it was always very much about sort of, kind of uniting people. And I actually thought that the tone of this gathering on Thursday really carried that forward.
So I didn't realize that it had been in existence and then went out of existence?
It was a city, it was a part of the city. Denise Simmons, once upon a time, before she was in the political world, actually was the chair of the Civic Unity Committee.
Right. See, I always thought it was around. I didn't realize it had. When did it go away?
It was around as a sort of as a part of the city government, in a way with a lot of city, like a city board and commission type of setting.
Right.
But then it became, I think it phased out and became, there was a Civic Unity Committee that was a city council subcommittee.
Okay.
Right, now there still is a Civic Unity subcommittee, but now they've actually, I think it's really at Denise's, her initiative to make it happen. So they reconstituted this as a real city commission again, which I think is good, because to me, I think it's exactly the right way to kind of approach these things, is sort of knitting together the social fabric. So
you're saying there still is a committee as well as this commission?
Right, actually, there was a joint meeting of the Neighborhood and Long-Term Planning and yada 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 committee together with the Civic Unity Committee.
But wasn't it right before this meeting? Because I remember seeing that on the calendar.
There was
like
one, but
5:30?
that one was canceled.
Oh, okay,
right,
good.
But they'll have another one. They had one last week, actually, also on Thursday.
You're right.
Yeah.
About
so they'll do some more. Right, but I was pretty impressed at what they were up to, and so they put together this thing. And again, we probably showed this last week, but I'll just show it to you again
just to
here.
Show you who is.
And they basically focused just on not the architectural history or the transportation history, but it was the people history, demographics, and who the people who've lived in Cambridge are and have been from the very, very beginning, when it was a small village, all the way through when the population really took off in the 1800s until today. And after Charlie Sullivan, the Cambridge Historical Commission presented a lot of really wonderful information about the city up to the more modern days, I think into the 20th century, then Cliff Cook, who does a demographic work within the Community Development Department.
Information manager.
Right. So Cliff took over and showed a lot of bar graphs and a lot was modern looking stuff.
Based on the 2010 census, a lot and really mining that data. So that was, I thought it was really interesting, and it was a well-attended meeting. And the way it was structured was they had the presentations first, which were good. I mean, honestly, if they ended right then and we all went home, it would have been a good I think some people did go home.
Some people did, right?
People don't like to be in small groups.
Yeah, it can get a little testy, right?
So you were supposed to separate into small groups with people you didn't know. And
unfortunately, the group I was sitting with, because I just happened to sit down, and then people kind of gathered around, and then when it was time to break into groups, they didn't sort of say, you go here, or give everybody a number, you're in group 7, so they they didn't do any of that.
In my group, there were, people I didn't know, I made sure I went, and then it turned out 4 of the people were couples. So they came with their spouses.
Okay. So they
One of the persons said, well, my spouse is over in that group, so.
So they really adhered to the spirit of the...
Well, the people they didn't know, no, they did not adhere to the spirit.
Well, in my group...
So what came out in your group?
There was a lot of nice discussion, but...
We were supposed to focus on some questions, right?
I don't even remember.
Based on, what would you ask the presenters? I think that...
Right, because they did want to generate questions, and I don't know whether any of our questions ever kind of made it up to Charlie and Cliff, but it was interesting, and this is... So this was a thematic meeting about kind of the history of the people in the city, but it is stunning to me the degree to which housing is such a burning issue that it's almost like you could have a meeting about the Red Sox and
it'll come down to housing.
It'll turn into a discussion about housing.
Who lives near the park?
Yeah, right. Because it's just
it's an issue
it's
because
a hard nut to crack.
It does now determine who lives here.
Yeah.
I mean, it's as simple as that. You can't have a diversity when you don't have diversity in housing because it costs so much.
Yeah, I mean, I've continually made the point that, certainly when I came here in the 1970s, you could just find an apartment.
Oh, yeah.
You didn't have to apply to an agency, and you didn't have to be a millionaire.
Right.
You just looked around, and maybe you didn't find the best place, but you found a place. And that's what's kind of different now. Now it's actually just hard to find a place that's not either extremely unaffordable or we have to pretty much go begging to the city to get it.
Yeah.
So
if you're on one end or you live with three other people.
Yeah, it's that lack of access for people kind of in the middle that's sort of the bigger problem.
Right.
So that was a nice discussion, but I was with Ruthie Ryan Allen, whose family owns Patty's Lunch, and we're also on the Envision
she
Cambridge.
Was the woman next to you.
That's why we ended up sitting together because we could kind of become friendly.
You were sitting together to begin with,
yeah,
and then Kathy Susie was there.
Right. No, but Ruth is a lifetime Canterbridgian, and she had a really, really long view of the.
Interesting.
And the other thing too is that if you own something like Patty's Lunch, which is a neighborhood bar. You talk to people and you've known people for many, many decades, and your parents before you.
Yeah.
So the stories. We start talking about different classes, but amongst Irish people, the lace curtain Irish versus this, who lived where and whatever. It was really great. But one of the things that's interesting, when I was looking around, because we're going to mention something to promote the Cambridge River Festival, which you should go to, because it's a lot of fun. They'll have like modern indie pop bands and whatever on a barge floating in the Leechmere Canal. There's a beer garden. If you want beer, we can do that too. And it'd just be a lot of fun. So be there or be free. And it's free. It's always free.
You buy things.
But as I was looking around on my museum of a house where I have
artifacts.
I have artifacts from the entire history of Cambridge everywhere. You can't move. Like, oh, look at this. Here's the charter of the city from 1840.
You should open your own museum. There are such things, personal museums.
Then I'll be like the Adams family. His house is a museum when people come to see him.
Oh, dear.
But I did find it funny. I actually had multiple versions of this. I only brought just one. I think I just brought one. So with the discussion, I said, I wish I had found this last Thursday because I would have gone to the meeting about who are we and where we come from, who are the people here. So I found this,
Put that up.
This was actually produced by City of Cambridge,
Department of Planning and Development,
which has become the Community Development Department. It got renamed
called Department.
December 1973, called Comprehensive Planning for Cambridge. The city's people.
Oh my God, that's exactly.
Who were they? Who are they?
Who are we and how we got here?
Right, and I thought, damn, why didn't I bring this on Thursday? I would have been the star of the show.
Did you look through it?
I did, and it's the 1970s version of what Clifford Cook was presenting.
And what does he say we are then, or they?
Well, I mean, the thing is a lot of things that were presumptions back in 1973 about where the population was changing, were based on assumptions that at some point ceased to be valid.
Yeah.
But there were certainly things in here about the fact that we used to have a lot more family housing. Larger families.
More factories, I bet, because they were starting to go.
Well, they were just bigger families and a lot of single people and smaller families, single units.
Nothing wrong with smaller families.
Right. But the thing is,
no families.
right. But it was just like really radical change in terms of that.
Interesting.
But there was all the demographic things from from the day, and I thought, my goodness.
I wonder if they have that at the Historical Commission. You should find out, because that's where it should live.
They might not.
Artifact of a museum.
It's true. Don't worry. One day I shall leave this all to you, my dear City of Cambridge.
Okay, City of Cambridge. Really, you have your own special library collection. Wow.
But I have to say, it was a wonderful thing, and I ended up staying till I think me and Ruthie were the last persons they threw out. We shut down the bar. Right?
Oh dear.
Yeah, it was good.
Does she still live in Cambridge? Or
yes.
She does.
Yeah.
So what would you take away from what she said? What was the overall thing? Did she?
I think that it's a lot of people say the same thing. I mean, which is this: the real difficulty for ordinary people, middle-income earners, people with families, just to be able to find housing.
Yeah.
So much of it.
So she talked about that.
Yeah.
Who goes into I didn't realize that was a bar. I'm so naive. I mean, I've seen it when I go by, but I didn't realize it was a bar.
Well, as we say, there are no bars in Cambridge, only restaurants that serve alcohol.
But did she see her clientele change? Is she getting hipsters? I mean, who's in there? She didn't mention
over time, it changes. I think actually the person who was the facilitator in our group actually lived pretty close to there.
Oh, yeah?
Has never been there. And so now I think she's going to have a new customer.
Yeah, I want to go there.
Yeah.
I want to go there.
Yeah, I haven't been there in a few years, so I'm
we should
absolutely going to go there.
Okay.
We're going to Patty's
We'll go
Lunch.
a trip and we'll give you a demographic breakdown when we come back.
Absolutely right.
All right.
Yeah, so anyway, that was sort of a good thing. I will say, just sort of selfishly, because you run it as well.
What?
I was sort of inviting everybody to come on my little Charles River walk over the weekend.
And I'm glad it was so cold, actually. It was cool.
It was cool, so it turned out to be a nice day. Yeah, so on Sunday we started at the Galleria Mall, right where the Cambridge River Festival will be taking place this Saturday.
Well, actually around that area?
Yep. Yeah,
too?
right. Yep. The River Festival.
The lagoon?
It'll be right around the lagoon part of the Leechmere Canal, and it'll extend out under Edwin Land Boulevard and out onto Cambridge Park along.
Actually, now that I think about it, that's a
edge.
perfect place for a stage. One of those places over there.
There'll be a stage there, and then when you get just outside the bridge on the riverside, there'll be another stage right in there, a theater stage.
We went right by all that.
Several more. Yeah, we were right around there, so we'll be back there again soon. So it was a great thing. I think we had 13 people come along, and we went out there along Old Ironside, which is under construction. And it was just kind of a revelation. You could actually see some timber down in the dry dock, which rumor has it was actually recovered from underwater when they did some excavation for the Spalding rehab facility that we're building out at the river's edge.
I bet a lot of people don't realize that moved.
Yeah.
If you don't go to Boston much, it moved to Constitution War, or whatever they call that whole pier down there.
It's almost under the Mystic Tobin Bridge now. It's all the way at the end of that end of Charlestown. But it's a fabulous, historically rich place to walk. I love doing.
And you can actually bike there because we walk there, but there is really almost contiguous bike paths.
Well, ever since the North Bank Bridge got built there, it just turned it into a wonderful, wonderful place.
And you can get to see these risk takers doing their skateboarding.
Oh, that's right. And
that terrified me. I thought there should be a medigun.
I think this is like my third or fourth time I've led a walk.
You went to the opening of that.
Yeah, but this is the third or fourth time I led a walk along the Charles River's edge there. And this was the first time after the skate park was fully open.
Oh, okay.
And it's right next to the North Bank Bridge. You can just walk right from the bridge, like a few feet over, and then it's like falling off a cliff because there were these deep pits. It's world-class championship skateboarding park. And a lot of people were there.
Well, it's a good skate. I don't know if the skaters were world class or the riders.
No, the park is. So
the park is. It's designed beautifully.
You could really do some incredible tricks there. So a lot of really great skateboarders.
I had to hide my eyes.
It is a little scary. I mean,
very scary.
I'm just waiting for a collision. It's like,
I think there was one, and we just didn't want to look.
Look away! Look away! Yeah.
It's a great site because you see that Boston Sand and Gravel building, and I just love seeing that. In the background.
Carl Hagelin, who wrote a book on the sort of remaking of Boston, with the reclamation of land and some of the history on the Charles River. He's with the DCR.
DCR.
Right. When he was on a walk, a historical walk, or maybe he might have even been on my walk last time. And we were talking about some of the history of the area, and he referred to that whole section around North Point, the park up there, and where the duck boats are kind of scooting in their little slip.
Yes.
Plus you see the railroad bridge rising and falling.
Yes.
You see the locks working here, and he said this is the place for a transportation junkies.
Airplanes, right.
You see airplanes, trains, planes, automobiles.
It's quite amazing.
Yeah, and the industrial underbelly because of Boston Sand and Gravel, which is where they batch up the concrete and gravel and sand that serves construction projects all around the greater Boston. It's
honestly, it was there before all these other
it's you don't want to build a little single family home under a highway ramp, but it's a perfect place for Boston sand and gravel. So I thought I had a great time doing this. I'll do it again too. Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay.
Let's see, a few other things.
Envision Cambridge update.
Yeah. So I'll just mention. Actually, I might have it here somewhere, but. I'm on this Envision Cambridge advisory committee, and we had our meeting. I think we maybe talked about that a little bit last week.
Yeah.
But they're going to have another meeting. If anybody from the public wants, everything's open. But our next meeting is not till the end of June.
June 29th.
There's an outreach committee. We'll probably have a meeting before then, and there's another working group for Alewife.
There's an outreach committee, and then you're on some other.
There's sort of. I think of it as, and I hope I'm not flattering myself to say that we have this. The Envision Cambridge Advisory Committee is this core group with 18 people.
Right.
There's a slightly smaller group that does outreach, just trying to make sure you get as many people involved. But it's not necessarily the advisory committee to the sort of
but you're on the advisory
details.
Committee.
Yeah. And then there will be more working groups for other specific topics. But for the starters. They have one for just specific to the Alewife part of the city. So they've already met.
Oh, right.
And I'm sure they will be meeting at least one more time in June. Actually, a lot of their work is up front, so they'll probably meet even more frequently than the other groups, I assume.
So do they post minutes of their meetings?
They do.
So if you just get on the Envision website? Or?
Yeah. And, I think...
I probably should be on their web. I should be getting emails. I don't think I signed up for it.
Yeah, I have links on my website for this.
Oh, you do?
As well.
All right. Well, I'll just go to your website.
Yeah,
It's a lot easier.
Yeah, just go to the Community Development Department. It's right on their front page. They've got a link to Envision Cambridge. And each of the committees and subcommittees have all the documentation, any materials that are presented at the meetings, they're all available.
Okay.
I think I got a message today saying that the minutes from our meeting were available. I haven't read them yet.
So. All right. So you can go to community development is one way to find it.
Yep.
Or to go to your website.
Either way.
It linked.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Or you could probably just Google Envision Cambridge and it'll probably get there lickety split. Through the miracle of Google.
Okay.
Right. There is another. I think is it in 2 days? There is. I don't.
What?
One of these days, I want to do a show. I want to do a whole show of nothing but like history, pure history. Okay.
Pure history.
But not today. All right.
You better have a lot of visuals because
I actually do. I have so many.
So
visuals.
History of. We did something like that a while ago.
Let's create little historical stories of Cambridge. We can do neighborhoods. We can do transportation.
You have to narrow it down.
I was when I was digging around today, and I was looking for some photos of relating to the River Fest, and I found photos I took of the construction of the Zakim Bridge.
Wow. So this is all in a file. Like a computer type file.
No, actually, it was in a shoebox.
Oh. So you'd have to put it into a digital.
I have some of them in digital form as well.
All right.
Yeah, but the other ones I just scan them and do that. But I like to do some of that. But for now, if people don't mind, we're sort of helping sort of be the user's guide to civic involvement. At least I like to think of it that way. So we're still working on that city manager search process.
I know. I was going to say I want to hear about this. Now, wasn't there a meeting recently?
There was
the operations committee.
The government operations rules and claims committee.
Friday, or?
No, it was a week before.
Oh.
But they do have another one coming up. 2 days. In 2 days.
Oh, that's the 2 days. Okay.
Yeah, so I think that one is happening on June. Yeah, here it is.
Oh, you have it at 5
Thursday, June 2nd at 5 p.m. is the next meeting of the Government Operations Committee.
Is that open?
They're all open. Yeah, the thing is,
no public comment, but it's open.
There is public comment.
There is public.
It's a regular city council, not an executive session, not a roundtable, a regular meeting of the city council. Not of the city council.
This is not a regular meeting, though, is it?
It is a regular meeting of the Government Operations Committee.
You get public comment at committee. Oh, of course.
Yeah, absolutely do. And let me be frank. What generally happens at these meetings is what we sometimes not so lovingly call the usual suspects will show up and make their usual everybody's evil. Well, I'm not a usual suspect of that.
No. Maybe I'll show up.
I resist speaking most of the time at these things, but last time I was there, you get this, if you listen to other people who speak at the public comment at these meetings, since the people who tend to come to these are the ones who have an axe to grind.
So was it the former city council candidate that comes to these?
I don't
forget his name, but no, because he has an axe.
Oh, there's one person who does that, but there's another person who speaks at every city council meeting. Actually, there's at least two who speak at every city council meeting.
Oh yeah, I know those, but I'm thinking of one in particular that wants to change the kind of government we have.
Yeah, well, and there are a few people who have always come specifically to the government operations because I think they secretly think that they should be the ones who are choosing the next city manager.
So when you say public comment, it's like it is at a regular meeting. It's only at a certain time.
Right. So typically
you can't just keep piping in.
Right.
Okay.
I'll say that there have been some sort of casual city council subcommittee meetings where there are relatively few people.
Okay.
Where sometimes the public gets sort of included in the conversation.
Actually, I do that all the time at the RAC meetings because I'm.
Yeah. Right. But it's not usually what happens. Yeah. And in something like this where it's kind of sensitive, it's going
to be a little more.
Well, I mean, the single most important thing that a city council does is choose a city manager.
Yes.
And you can sort of feel. I mean, I hope I'm not misreading this, but I feel that you can read a certain little tension in the room every time they're meeting.
Oh, yeah.
I think there are some people who are pretty much taking sides, and the others are sort of trying to gain a little bit of an edge on the.
Well, what stage is it now? Has that even been posted?
They have, I forget the name, but they did. I don't think it's that important what the name of the consultant is who's helping with the screening. Oh, that's right. They have to. But a company has been chosen.
Okay.
I forget the name because I don't think it's that important.
Right. So they do the initial vetting?
They basically, I think they do a fair amount of the getting the word out.
Okay.
And that's kind of important because there are issues of confidentiality. Right. You cannot do that. I mean, chances are, if you're looking for a good city manager, he or she is probably currently gainfully employed.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
Right. We are not scouring the ranks of the unemployed city managers here.
You have to be careful. You can't poach and you can't.
You don't want to necessarily tip their hand because it has to be done in confidence. So, so you do need a little bit of an outside partner in doing some of this.
It keeps it also hands off from the cat because otherwise it would look a little.
No, I think they are pretty much at the point where they're doing a screening committee of 18 people from there are 4 city councilors because you can't have more than 4.
And were they chosen randomly?
They were chosen by the chair.
And who is the chair?
David Marr.
Oh, David Marr, right. Yeah. That's right.
So
they've already been chosen?
I believe so, but I'm not 100% sure. That's why I may go to this meeting. I know that there was some committee was chosen and some staff people, the names were actually even mentioned.
Okay.
But I don't, to me it's not, I just want competent people there. Who they are, let them decide.
Right.
It's not for me to decide.
Right.
And ultimately, it will culminate with winnowing down of the field so that eventually you'll have a very short list by the time September rolls around. September is not that far away.
No, it is not.
But I do think it's a completely achievable goal to actually get this done.
Especially when they don't meet in the summer, except for August 1st.
Well, I think the Government Operations Committee will likely have to keep meeting. Yeah. Right. I mean, some of this will have to go on away from them.
Sure.
But eventually they will have to reconvene a few times to sort of, kick the tires and make sure everything's moving in the right direction. And ultimately it'll come to the hope, whether it happens or not, I don't know. Mm-hmm. At the last Government Operations Committee, they did vote to recommend to the full City Council to have Richie Rossi serve another 3 months.
Right.
So we have Richie till the end of September. Yeah. But everybody pretty much believes that by the end of September we'll have a decision made. Now there may be a further transition because if you just decide to get this person and they're still under contract till the end of the year or something like that someplace else, there may be a transition, but that's okay. You have department heads then basically stand in as city manager, and that's been done before and it'll work out fine. But anyway, that's coming up, and as I say, I'll find out on this Thursday at 5:00 what the status is, and I think it's kind of a cool thing to see happen.
So refresh my memory. So Richard Rossi was only an interim?
No.
Why was this whole process put in?
In my view, if Rich Rossi had said, I would like a contract extension for another 3 years, he would have had more than 5 votes.
Right, but what I'm saying is when he first came on board, was he the one that proposed a 3-year contract?
I think it's that's kind of typically what you expect, and it was worked out between Richie and the city council.
Was there an understanding? Did they do though this big consultant search, or they did not?
They did not.
They did not. That's what I'm saying.
And a lot of people were bothered by that. I will say flat out, I was not bothered in the least.
Because he was willing to say, "I will do this for 3." But he never said, "I'm going to do this for life" or anything.
Rich Rossi was so obviously the right man for that job at that time.
And also not going to be there forever because of his age.
Nobody believed he would be there for. I mean, they said
saved a lot of time.
And actually even money, because they were already paying him, and if he retired, then right then and there, we'd be paying him his pension anyway.
Where now it's a little different because it is.
Right. So anyway, so we got him 3 years, and he was not there was one annoying person who said, well, we should insist on calling him the interim or acting city manager. And I thought that was insulting as hell. I mean, he's been the deputy city manager for like a quarter of a more than a quarter of a century. He was the most well-trained person to assume that position. Of course, he should be called the city manager, and that's how it was. Now, nobody at the time knew whether he would go for another year or 2 or 3 year extension. I was actually surprised when he said he wasn't going to do the extension.
I'm not.
But
you're not as old as he is.
Right? Yeah. But that was that, and so we will have a new city manager. There are some rumors already circulating about potential candidates, but we'll see about that.
Mine is in the mix. Anyway.
All right. I'd like to make the announcement. I will be the next city manager. No, I'm just kidding.
Robert, it would
I would cause panic amongst the activists.
All right, we're winding down.
So anyway, come to the Cambridge River Festival this Saturday, and we'll be there. I'll be there. You'll be there?
I may be volunteering for the city recycling.
All right.
We'll see. Yeah.
Sounds great. So anyway, until then, we'll see you next week on Cambridge Inside
Out.